Hi people, my name is Mutombo and I am a content creator from Cameroon. After a year of filming every single video that you would find on this channel, this one included, on my Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge, I finally bought the Canon M50. So this video is going to be a quick unboxing of this bad boy here, and I'm going to be giving you guys a beginner's review from the perspective of someone who is coming from filming every single video on their phone and using a mirrorless camera for the very first time. But before we get into that, I want to tell you guys why I chose this particular camera over all the other contenders that were on the market. I had to stick to a budget and I filmed lots and lots of vlogs. So a portable camera, something that wasn't too heavy, was very important for me. With this in mind, after an excruciating amount of research, I narrowed down my options to the Canon M50 or the Canon G7X Mark II. I completely ruled out the Mark III because of all the complaints that I saw online about the autofocus glitching right out of the box. I watched vlogs of every single YouTuber that I could find who used the Canon M50 or the Canon G7X Mark II. I'm not talking about reviews, I mean actual vlogs. And in all of this, I focused on those who didn't do a heavy amount of editing on their vlogs and on their videos because I wanted to see what the raw thing would look like. So I gathered all this information and finally made my choice, and I'm going to share why I chose the M50 over the G7X Mark II, so you won't have to go through the same amount of work that I did. Even though I found the footage from the G7X Mark II really crisp and more enjoyable to watch over the Canon M50, I finally went with the Canon M50 because one, I needed a microphone input and the G7X Mark II did not have a microphone jack. The second issue is that the G7X Mark II has good autofocus when it's new, but I found most of the YouTubers that I watched complain over time. About a year or so after starting to use it, I found the YouTubers that I was watching starting to complain about the autofocus not being as responsive as it used to be, and that is not something that I wanted to deal with. The third thing that made me choose the M50 is the durability. The M50 seems to have a more sturdy body, and I've heard so many people complain that the screws on the flip-up screen of the G7X came loose and sometimes even got lost. So many people complained that the screen was prone to cracks and hardly ever survived a fall. So considering the issues with the autofocus, the screws coming loose, the screen cracking of the G7X, it seems that it has faster wear and tear than the Canon M50 because I didn't get any of these complaints from users of the Canon M50. I just caught it while watching vlogs, you know, like somebody would just be holding the camera and trying to focus on them, just be like, this camera has been messing up these days, and I catch it, I just take notes. The screw of my camera came loose, the screen is cracked, little things that they say in passing over hundreds of vlogs that I watched, and these things helped inform my decision to choose the M50. The last thing that just tipped the scales for me and made me go with the M50 is the fact that the lenses are interchangeable on the M50. The G7X has a standard lens, and I also heard so many complaints about dust entering the lens and being unable to clean it, having to take it to the Canon shop for it to be cleaned. But with the Canon M50, the lenses are interchangeable, so over time, as the years go by, I can always add lenses and upgrade my quality without necessarily changing the camera. So we can move on to the actual unboxing of this camera right now. So I got this from the ORMS shop in Cape Town, and it was a package deal. This package deal included the body of the M50 and two kit lenses. The two kit lenses that came with this are the EF-M 15 to 45mm lens and the EF-M 22mm lens. One thing to note when upgrading from your phone to an actual camera, be it a point and shoot camera, DSLR, or a mirrorless camera, you would need a high-speed memory card. So when making your purchase, be sure to specifically ask for a high-speed memory card. This is the on button. Let's power this bad boy up. All right, guys, say cheese. So you're going to notice that you can't take off the lens without pushing this button right here. So I'm going to push this button in order to remove the lens. And then I'm going to try the pancake lens. All right, I'm shooting here and I'm shooting here. So like I said before, this is a beginner's review. The only thing I've ever shot my videos on is my phone, which you can see right there. So this is what the audio from the Canon M50 sounds like. And this is my audio from my phone with a lavalier microphone. I'm actually using a lavalier microphone. Oh, okay, it's actually just on the screen of the M50. I can already see all my imperfections. My phone is doing me a favor and smoothing out the issues with my skin for me. But yeah, we're going to have a problem with this high definition. Yeah, I like it so far, but I'm going to play around with it for a few days and come back to you with my actual beginner's review and first impressions. Well, not really first impressions, a few days later impressions. Hello people, it has been 3 weeks since the footage you just saw and I've had quite some time to play with this camera, so I'm here to give you my review. Like I said, this is a beginner's review and it is meant for beginners. I'm not going to go too deep into the specs of this camera because honestly I don't think that is useful to anybody who is looking for a beginner's review. For example, when I tried to find out what the battery life of this camera was, when I went on Google and tried to search, they kept telling me it is 235 shots. Honestly, what is that supposed to mean to me? What I want to know is, if I'm filming a video in normal mode, how much footage can I actually get from this? Which is what I'm going to tell you today. Unless you are a professional or really versed with cameras or some type of camera or photo enthusiast, that information would not really tell you a lot. That said, here is what I have to say about this camera from a beginner to a beginner. The first thing I want to talk about is the body and the build of this camera. When I picked this camera up, the first thing I noticed was the weight. This camera weighs 484 grams. Okay, I said I wasn't going to talk specs, but I'm trying to put this into perspective here. So this camera weighs 484 grams. My phone weighs 157 grams. So this camera is almost half a kilogram. And this is 3 times the weight of my phone, which is what I am used to carrying on a day-to-day basis for my vlogging. I won't lie to you, I found this heavy. I got tired after minutes of holding the camera out and pointing it at myself. The next thing I noticed is that this camera is right-handed for capturing things in front of you, but left-handed for selfies because the grip is on the right side of the camera when you're holding it lens forward. As a vlogger, I capture a lot of footage both ways. In fact, I think I capture more footage like this than, lens forward. My right hand is actually more stable than my left hand, and my right hand is what I always use to vlog with my phone like this. So I do have a lot of getting used to with this, and I also have to build up the biceps in my left hand just to accommodate this camera. One thing I absolutely love is the grip. I put this strap on immediately because I was was super afraid of dropping this camera. But with the leathery grip that this camera gives, there is really little or no chance of me dropping this camera, even when holding it with one hand. I'm holding this camera now with 3 fingers, these 2 and my thumb, and I really feel like it is secure in my hand. I don't feel like it's going to slip out or drop, and I am very happy about that. The body of this thing feels very sturdy, but it is prone to scuffs. Every time I put it in my bag and take it out, I notice new scuffs on it. I guess that's just because the material of this body doesn't have a glossy finish and it is a bit textured. But the scuff, it's not a permanent scuff, it's just something that you can easily wipe off. The last thing I want to mention about the body is the flip out screen. If you look closely, you will see that the flip out screen doesn't align directly with the body. It slants up slightly, and that is the very first thing I noticed when I flip the screen out and try to take some videos in selfie mode. I quickly noticed that the screen was slanting backwards. It wasn't uncomfortable, it wasn't that much of a problem, but you know when there's that little thing that just bugs you, that just irks you every time you see it. It's not a problem, it doesn't degrade the quality of my videos. It's just that one thing that is just nagging me, like, why aren't you straight? The next thing we are going to talk about is the battery. This camera uses a lithium ion LPE12 875 milliampere hour battery. So using this battery charger pack that comes with the camera, it takes about 2 hours for the battery to charge from 0% to 100%. Like I said, when you Google the battery life, they will tell you it's 235 shots in normal mode. But let's put that into perspective here. The first time I completely discharged this battery was when I was still getting used to the menu, still trying to learn how to go about the settings, and so I spent most of the time just flipping through the menu, trying different things. I put on the Wi-Fi, connected it to my phone, connected it to my laptop. So I manipulated this for 45 minutes and I was able to take about 60 pictures and 1080p video of about 37 minutes total. That should just give you an idea of how I managed to discharge this battery from 100 to 0 the first time. The second time I discharged this battery was when I took this camera out for a full day of outdoor vlogging, and this camera was able to take a total of 45 pictures and about 65 minutes of 1080p footage. During that time, I did not manipulate the camera at all, apart from just turning it on and taking the video or the pictures, and the Wi-Fi, Bluetooth and all forms of wireless connectivity on this were all turned off. I have never changed the brightness on the LCD screen on this thing. It has always been on the medium bright setting, which is what it is on as soon as it comes out of the box. This camera also has a battery saving functionality where if you are not manipulating the camera for a while and you leave it on, it actually goes into sleep mode. I actually forgot this camera on for 6 good hours and I came back thinking that the battery was going to be completely drained, but I realized that it had put itself in sleep mode and actually preserved my battery life. I was able to take up to 65 minutes of video footage on this, but honestly for me that was not enough. I had to supplement that with my phone, and I guess that just has to do with my vlogging style, because my vlogs are usually 10 to 15 minutes long, but I don't plan my vlogs out before I start vlogging. So I just take footage of every and anything, and when I go back to editing, that's when I cut out the footage that I don't need. If you are a much more organized person and know exactly what you want to film, maybe 65 minutes would be enough for you to get the footage that you need for your vlog of the day. The next thing we're going to talk about is the ease of use. How easy is it to use this thing? Honestly, coming from my phone, I did find that even though I am generally tech savvy, I needed a few days to play around with this and figure out how to get certain effects and just the settings that I would like best for my footage. I did have to Google a few of the things that I did not understand, and honestly to date there is one button that I still haven't understood, and that is this button up here, but I am not bothered because apparently I really don't need this button. My advice is that before you sit down to film your first video, play around with this thing a bit just to figure a few things out. The next thing we're going to talk about is the lens. Okay, as you saw in the unboxing, I got this with the kit lens that usually comes with this, which is the 15 to 45 millimeter lens and the 22 millimeter lens. This is a zoom lens and this what's the opposite of a zoom lens? This doesn't zoom. So for vlogging, I prefer the kit lens, even though so many other reviewers have said their favorite lens is the 22mm pancake lens, but I don't like that lens for vlogging, just for the simple fact that the crop on that lens is too much, as well as the bokeh. The bokeh is too much. In my opinion, vlogging, especially when you show your day-to-day activities, is meant to put your viewers or your audience in your shoes. It's meant to show them what you are really doing, your environment. They're supposed to feel like they have actually been to the place where you are taking them to, and bokeh takes all of that out. If you are talking to people and you're saying, hey, I'm in this place, and the entire background is blurred out, it doesn't make any sense for me. Also, with the amount of crop that this 22mm lens gives, when I am vlogging with this, you can see only my face, which is, like I said, counterintuitive to the whole point of vlogging. You are trying to show your environment, you're trying to show where you are, what you are doing, and if people can only see your face when you are vlogging, then you are really not achieving that aspect of immersing your viewers into your environment. This lens is good, the images are crisp, and I think it would be perfect for product photography. I'm holding out the camera with the kit lens at the same distance as my phone on the tripod. I can see that it crops out half of my computer. Okay, I'll just put this side to side so you can actually see the difference. The phone actually captures a big portion of my torso, but the camera cuts it off just above my head and just below my necklace. Just see for yourself. Just see where the crops are. For the image stabilization, I honestly didn't know what to expect, but I don't see anything really impressive with the image stabilization on this camera. To be honest, I feel like it's almost the same as on my phone. On the M50, I have the digital stabilization turned off, and we're just going to see how stable this footage is. I'm walking down a hallway. I'm going to turn and walk down this hallway again, just so we can see how stable this footage. Now I am shooting with the image stabilization turned off, and we're just going to see what that footage looks like. The image stabilization turned off. So the next thing we're going to talk about is the remote control apps. On the phone, we have the Canon Camera Connect app, which is what you use to control your camera remotely using your phone. Well, when I say remotely, I mean like within the same room, because the connectivity is either Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, and there is a limited range for that connectivity to actually work. For the computer, the app is the Canon EOS utility app. To be honest, I'm not enthusiastic about any of these apps, be it the one on the phone or the one on the computer or laptop or whatever you're using. First of all, there is a lag, which honestly I expected because the connectivity is over Bluetooth and over Wi-Fi. And when using these apps as a monitor, we use them in real time, meaning there is no buffer or anything that can help make the videos a bit smoother. Anyway, what I'm just trying to say is that when you're using it, there's a lag between what is actually happening in front of the lens and what you are seeing on either your laptop or on your phone, and it's not the best experience. So the next thing I'm going to address is the method of transfer, and what I mean is how do we transfer the data and the pictures, the videos that we take on the phone to whatever you want to use them on. I edit on my laptop, so I'm always going to need to transfer the images from my camera to my laptop. The first method is my go-to method, and which is simply to pop the memory card out of the camera and pop it into my laptop, and I start taking my footage directly from the memory card, the exact same way that you would take information from a USB drive. The next method is to connect your camera to your laptop using a USB cable. That I've also found to be very fast. I've had no problems with that. The third method is to use the apps. You can use the apps to transfer the footage that you've just taken into your phone or your computer or whatever other device you want to use. But I found that transferring the videos takes a lot of time, especially the heavier videos, and that is to be expected because it is wireless connectivity. It's definitely going to be much slower than actually using a cable. The next thing I want to talk about is the viewfinder, and I honestly don't have a lot to say about the viewfinder. I don't think I'm going to be using it a lot, and the only thing I think I should mention in this review is that it can startle you. It has a proximity proximity sensor somewhere here, and as soon as you take any object near it, it turns off the LCD screen, and that has startled me quite a few times. I love the color profile of the footage from this camera. I don't know what Canon does, but it just makes people look fresher. I like the images that I take of people on this. I like how it picks up skin tones and just makes them look vibrant. This is definitely higher maintenance than a phone. Like, I'll really be much more afraid to drop this than I would be to drop my phone. I don't know how I would protect this apart from just having this camera strap on. The last thing I'm going to talk about is the 4K on this camera, and all I have to say on that is that I did not bother, because I would not be shooting anything in 4K. Nobody watches my videos in 4K. I don't watch videos in 4K. So that said, here's some footage from the Canon M50 without any color grading, setting straight out of the box. And I'm editing this thing right now with 2 cans of Red Bull down, and I just realized that I didn't mention anything about the audio, but I just want to jump in right now and tell you guys that I am very satisfied with the audio of this camera straight out of the box. I am using the M50 with the kit lens right now. It is 10:30 p.m. and the only source of light that I have is this bulb overhead and this light over my desk, and I'm just talking now just so you can get what the audio is like. If you are using this camera in a controlled environment, shut windows, closed doors, I think the audio is going to be just fine, and I personally would not feel the need to add a microphone. The only situation that is going to compel me to add a microphone is if I am filming outdoors in an environment where I cannot control my audio conditions, wind, people shouting around me, or just being noisy. I am very impressed with the audio directly from this camera. Just keep watching. Bye. All right, so this is what we are working with right now. There's no other source of light. When I step into the shadows, this is how the camera is picking me up. When I step into the tiny source of light, this is how it picks me up. Let me go back into the shadows and so we can see how it's picking me up. Sorry, I'm just taking some B-roll, some cinematic. Even though I said this camera is too heavy and too big, because this actually doesn't fit in my backpack after I put in my laptop and all my school supplies, I really genuinely love this camera, and I think the purchase was worth every cent. I don't think I could have made a better choice at the budget that I had. I really hope this video helped you. I must have watched every single M50 review that there was out there before I bought this camera, and I'm going to tell you right now, if you are looking to buy a camera and you've watched just one review, then you have not done enough research. Go and watch some more reviews out there, but not too many, because you're just going to get confused and bombarded with too many details. Stay blessed and definitely stay on to watch this video, but first click here to subscribe. Watch, subscribe, watch, subscribe, watch, subscribe. My arms are tired.